Recorded live at Talks and Tasting Studios, it's the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you what's behind the collar. Let's go.
From the Talks and Tasting Studios, this is the Clerical Errors Podcast, the podcast that shows you
what's behind the collar.
I'm Bullhagen.
This is Vicar.
Peter's here.
Hey, Pete.
And we are good to go. Lots of...
Vicar, have you noticed Bullhagen's little dance that he does when he's about to point at you?
Sure.
Like, he does this little dance that's... Like, the point has to come through his whole body before he points
Yes, I watch him closely to make sure it's going to be my turn or not. It's a whole body language, yep. That's it, yeah. It looks like he's doing some jazzercise, and that means it's almost my turn, yep.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm trying to speak because he has Pentecostal roots in ways that he would understand.
There you go. Well, in that case, you got to fall over onto the floor and then kind of writhe about. And then the ushers will put a blanket over your legs so you don't expose yourself.
Okay. Did you ever get into snake handling?
No, not the churches I went to, but we were probably adjacent. Like I'm sure that it was close. But no, I didn't do that or see it even. Definitely had the teaching that you were supposed to name it and claim it. We had that false doctrine of that if you weren't supposed to say things like, oh, you almost scared me to death, because if you said negative things like that, you could bring them to pass because you too had the creative power of the word. And so you had to claim positive things. So if you, for example, if you had a headache, you were supposed to go around and saying that you did not have a headache. So we were told to lie about our symptoms because the symptoms were lies from the devil, because according to Isaiah 53, I think it is, by his stripes you were healed. So they would pull that text out by itself and say, look, that's past tense. You've already been healed, so the symptoms are a lie. So we did get taught stuff like that.
I think I've seen one of those, like a video like that, where a guy says, I like women now. In the church. I don't know if any of you have seen that. Anyways.
I haven't seen that. Was he naming it and claiming it? Like,
yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's good. Babylon Bee has some good ones where somebody names and claims a televangelist's private jet, and so now he has no choice but to hand it over because.
Oh wow! All right, so I've got a beverage. Where did I put my beverages? They're there.
Oh, okay.
I have some leftover Italian soda from our last Lenten meal.
Because, that's traditional Lenten meal.
Well, so we have our Lenten meals, and didn't have everyone signed up to take a meal. So what's a pastor to do?
Make a meal.
Make a meal. So the first Lenten meal was pastor's pizza.
Yep.
And it really was me. Everyone was thinking, oh.
Right.
Everyone, there's a handful of people that treated me like I was Mr. Magoo. Like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's like easy bake cookies from a 6-year-old or something like that.
Right. And everyone, and several people have commented, oh, your pizza thing was so organized. What does that mean?
You blew away the expectations.
It's like, it was organized.
Well, okay, I'm sitting here in the studio, and I got to say that when you do something organized, it is a little startling.
Right.
When I look around at the...
I have selective organizational skills.
Okay. You bring in the bear when it really matters, like pastor's pizza.
Right. When I need to be organized, I can be.
Right.
When I don't need to be organized.
Forget it. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I can say the pizza was, in fact, very good, and it's not a surprise to me that many people came to tell you that.
Well, I had to tell. I have no idea what it tasted like. I couldn't eat it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I could do that. I think I just live with the symptoms and have eaten it if I had the intolerances that you have.
So I have. So not only did I make pizza, I brought like Sprecker's root beer and Italian sodas,
right?
To kind of give like the whole, because I didn't want to just say here's some pizza, you know?
Here's some American food.
I wanted to do like where people maybe look forward to it and also use that to also go to the Lenten service afterwards.
Yeah.
So I have a leftover San Pellegrino pomegranate cherry.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's impressive. I did not know the S stood for Sam on that. It just
San.
San?
Yes.
Like saint?
Yes, it's Italian,
Oh.
It's not Sam.
Sam. Well, maybe I thought it was Walmart.
All right. Vickers got your standard Diet Coke.
I just have a Diet Pepsi.
Diet Pepsi.
There's a whole big distinction. When I was a teenager, I really liked the ad campaign of the Pepsi products and not the Coca-Cola products, because Coca-Cola positioned itself to be for tradition and people who lived in the country with cowboy hats, whereas Pepsi had Michael Jackson, and it was the taste of a new generation. And so even though I did live in the country and feed pigs, I pictured myself as part of the new, edgy generation. So
Did you get into the whole Pepsi stuff where you could like buy stuff with Pepsi points?
I used to save the bottle caps and try to spell out a word or whatever and win money. I never did, of course, but...
There's this whole documentary on... Boy, we are digressing out of the bat.
Right.
A documentary on... there's a Pepsi commercial where you could use Pepsi points to buy a jet.
Right.
And someone actually tried to do it.
Right, because I think they just sort of flippantly said 1 million Pepsi points and you can have this Lear jet or whatever it was, Harrier jump jet or something. Anyway, problem was that was way cheaper than an actual Harrier jet, and so an attorney tried to sue them and collect his jet airplane. Pretty funny.
Anyways, so my water's delicious. We should talk about the text.
Oh, the text.
Because we have lots of things. We have an update from what?
He said 17.
17.0.
Yeah, he was 2 before me, so 17.
We have an update from 17.0 that I have not heard. We're going to listen it to anew on the fly. And we also have something... when Peter and I were looking, so we kind of did a repeat episode.
Right.
Which we couldn't just do a repeat episode. We had to add something to it, which we did.
Yeah.
And Peter and I have healed the relationship. AI brought us back together again.
That's pretty good. And it probably cost a lot less than going to actual professional counseling.
Right. And so that's what we did. But we were noticing when we were going through that in our 100th episode, our anniversary episode, we did a top 12 of things that will definitely happen before the 200th episode.
Oh.
So we gotta see how prophetic we are.
Yeah. Did you?
And we have not listened to it yet either, because we like to listen to it on the fly. So I have no idea what those predictions are. We're going to delve into that. I hope it's interesting because we're going to do it.
Well, it depends on if you had enough faith to name it and claim it when you made those prophetic utterances.
And then if we have time, which we may need to do this afterwards, I have a top 12 lists about suffering. So
hopefully that doesn't end up related to listening to the old podcast.
Correct. Correct. Thank you for explaining my joke. So what am I preaching on there, Vicar?
You are preaching on the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 15. Jesus went away from there and withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." But he did not answer her a word. And his disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she is crying out after us." He answered, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." And he answered, "It is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "O woman, great is your faith. Be it done for you as you desire." And her daughter was healed instantly.
All right. So before I get into my thoughts, do you have any thoughts, Vicar?
I have always had thoughts about this because it's so fascinating that he appears to insult this Canaanite woman. Jesus appears to insult her. And I've always wondered what the disciples' reaction was to that, because I think he's trying to teach the disciples something. That's my understanding, I guess I'll put, on why he chose such insulting language, because I have a feeling that the disciples smirked when he referred to her like that, and yet I think he was teaching them something about how the gospel is actually for everybody. Even if it started in one place, it's for everybody. But that's my thoughts without having read a commentary on this.
Okay, well, with how much I read commentaries.
Oh, that's true. You probably haven't either. Maybe you read one back in seminary or something.
I mean, they do play their place sometimes, but I think they could be overused, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would first thing I would say is a point that I've made recently that you can see clearly here. Okay. Now, if someone is struggling with a demon, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just a physical thing, right?
Right.
There's like a spiritual aspect to that too.
Well, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And here, who is struggling with the demon? The woman's
daughter. Yeah.
What does a woman do? She pleads to Jesus on behalf of her
For her
daughter.
Yeah.
And what does Jesus do? He hears her prayer.
Yes.
So that's one thing I want to say. Is to me that is an encouragement to every Christian. Every Christian.
Right.
Because every Christian would know that pain. Right? Of someone.
Right.
Right? So that's one thing. The other thing is how Jesus here, I think I kind of like your idea, but the only thing is that's not in the text. You don't know.
No, I know.
So
I was making the Hollywood version in my head.
So I would be a little hesitant to do that. Rather, I think you could say, well, one, Jesus was righteous in doing so.
Yeah, well, we have to say that.
Right? I have heard sermons, or heard of sermons where he's saying here, even Jesus makes mistakes once in a while.
I read about that. It was this particular
Yes.
account. The claim was by the woman pastor that he had made a mistake here.
But we remember Jesus is God. He can, according to his will, he can heal and not heal according to his will.
Right.
And he uses this, in a sense, he doesn't say yes right away.
Right, he doesn't.
There are times, and this is another lesson, he lets us wrestle with the cross that we bear. For whatever reason.
Right.
So that he can see that the faith that does not give up here. And so there's that aspect of it, is the faith, which he comments on, great is your faith.
Right.
He knew that already going into it.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say you can say is, and now it's not necessarily the order that we find in the Gospel of Matthew, but there is a reason I believe that this text is given to us right after last Sunday's text where Jesus overcomes the assaults of the devil in the wilderness.
Right.
And that is that he does so also for us. We see his overcoming of the devil in the wilderness, and then you have someone who is unable to help themselves. The necessity of Christ's salvation, the necessity for him to do what we could not do for ourselves, that we are helpless and we need his victory. We need his power over the devil, the demons, our sins, our guilts. So you cannot look at this text and see two things. Well, even while he comments on her faith, ultimately it drips with weakness. I can't do anything about this. I need you in her desperation. I've tried everything else. Nothing else will work. Nothing else will save. Only you can save. You're my only hope. Even the crumbs off the table are enough. And that's part of faith too, is to know that Jesus can do what we cannot do. And the other thing is how the Canaanite woman, this is the way Martin Luther would talk about this text, I believe, is talking about how she trusts in the goodness of Jesus. She trusts in what she has heard about Jesus, what God promised in Jesus, that he is not the guy who is cold as those words might reflect. The words of Jesus betray who he really is, and she knows that. She knows him to be good and merciful and does not take this roadblock. The world may tell her Jesus is not good. He is not merciful. He does not care. And in that moment, she could either her own ears hear that Jesus is not good. Jesus is not kind. He is not gracious. She doesn't even trust that from the words from his own mouth. She knows who he is. She trusts in who he is, and she continues to hold on to who he is.
Right. And she doesn't disagree with him. She says, yes, Lord, when he said it's not right to take children's bread and throw it to a dog. She says, yeah, that's true. She agrees with it.
And so she understands, even in that inner powerlessness, something about faith too. You know, when suffering comes, we get what we deserve. We don't like to think of it that way.
No, but it's true.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you read Martin Luther's pastoral letters, that's one thing he does. He never says, you don't deserve this or whatever.
Okay.
No matter how bad the suffering is, he is very clear to say, we can wallow in this and we can say God is not good, but he's not the sinner, we are. We don't like to talk that way. Well, we would say that, we don't like to say, well, this is caused by a specific sin.
Right. No, because we can't really know that usually.
But we can say that we are sinners who deserve nothing and receive everything by grace.
We say it every Sunday.
So that's another aspect of this text, and even as Jesus says these words, she agrees. We don't deserve this. I don't deserve this, but I trust in your goodness. I trust in your mercy, and I trust that you can save.
Last Sunday for Sunday school, we taught the Sunday school class about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and pointed out in the text where those three young men in Babylon said that God has the power to save us, but even if he doesn't, we will not bow down to your idol. And I thought that was an interesting thing because they didn't doubt that he could, but they did not know if he would, but that didn't change a thing for them.
So homiletically, when I think about preaching this, there are some things that I think that I could bring up or ways I can develop this. One is I can place the listener of the sermon, in a sense, in this woman's place.
Okay.
Which is to say, you can bring out in the listener the same kind of helplessness, because then they understand the gospel. If they understand how they are no different than this woman in the midst of suffering, or how they are not like this woman, they are incapable of saving themselves, or how whatever the case may be. I haven't developed that aspect of the sermon,
right?
But to place them in that so that they understand that they are helpless, that they need God's grace and mercy, that they understand that Jesus is the only one that can save him, that even the crumbs, it takes some heavy law to do that.
Right.
But if you do that in a way that they identify and place themselves in her shoes, then the words of forgiveness can be understood.
Right.
Kind of like what this woman displays, I think, is what we hear in Romans 5 when it talks about suffering. Suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us. And so that's what she displays in the midst of her suffering.
Very good.
And you see love here too, the love in this sense, the love of a mother for her daughter.
Right. She didn't care if she was going to be humiliated out in public, if she was seeking help for her daughter.
Mm-hmm. I actually talked that way when I talked about temptation in the last episode. When you're facing temptation, sometimes you would be more willing to confront temptation with the mindset of your love for others than you would for your love for yourself, because that is often more powerful.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right. We have heard from 17.0. Now, I will say this. Once you're ordained, I tend to try to remember that they've lost their number, that they actually have a name now.
Oh, I aspire to have a name one day.
So Bauman has responded. He has given us an update so we can hear what is how things are going for Bauman. And just think, someday you can go from 19.0 to that other word. Someday. I can't call you, you're right now you're just a number.
Just a number. Right.
You're almost human.
Someday I will surpass AI and have a name.
Version 17.0 of your Vicar app was successfully installed 8 months ago. Vicar app 17.0 was installed at St. Mark, Garrison, and Zion, Schellsburg, in Iowa District East. New app features include dual parish, lectionary Bible study, verse-by-verse Bible study. App is backwards compatible with Vicar app 3.0 and cross-platforms with confession study.
Bauman, the shepherd formerly known as Vicar 17.0 here. Greetings and salutations from the Benton Circuit of Iowa District East. I've been told by a trustworthy source, a previous Hampton vicar, that it is the best circuit in the district. Since ordination, quite a bit has happened, though much of it could probably be called routine. 2 sudden deaths at one congregation punctuated the end of the calendar year, and I greatly thank Bull Hagen for the guidance in how to handle funerals. I am especially thankful for writing the Lenten midweek series, though that probably deserves its own dedicated update to discuss. The congregations, much like their towns, are smaller than Hampton, but they are faithful. We have a very good and lively Bible study on Tuesday evenings. We started in Genesis and currently, as of the end of February, have made it to the 10 plagues in Exodus. We have plenty of good people attending who are unafraid to ask interesting questions, and I'm honestly more than happy to answer questions. There is a lot to do caring for the flock at these 2 congregations, and I am honestly enjoying every minute of it. I never thought that this Nebraska native would be so happy to be living in Iowa, but it is my hope and prayer that God sees fit to have me serve here for as long as possible.
Well, that was nice to hear.
It is nice to hear.
That's good encouragement for you.
Yeah. He might be interested to know that 19.0 is using the format that he developed when he was 17.0 for the midweek Lenten services. I'm using those.
You're using his kind of the way he did, because we do a divine service.
Right.
And with various things for Lent and a midweek service,
right,
like hymns and that kind of thing. We kind of stripped that away, so it's just the service.
Right. And I looked back at a few different service folders from previous years, and I selected the one that he came up with as the format. So I guess I liked it. Maybe I haven't learned enough.
Yeah, but he noted, and you notice he must be reusing what he did.
Yeah, because he mentioned specifically that he was glad that you had him write the midweek services or sermons. Maybe that's what he meant, was he was reusing them, which is fantastic.
Which is that first year when you're swimming,
right,
like you are right now.
Oh yeah, yep.
that you have something that you've done that you like, that you spent time on, and
then all I have to do is make sure I get a new call every 12 months, and that way I can just recycle.
So that you're a little bit more prepared. So it's good to hear that, Bauman. You're doing well. I hope to see you maybe at the spring conference in May, and see how you and your family are doing. So thank you for the update. And I do work hard on trying to bring the vicars along with as much funeral stuff as they can, so that they can kind of walk right into it, confident in what they're doing.
I was very pleased to find out I would get those experiences as a vicar, because when I was back at the seminary, that was one of the things that scared me, was the idea that I would walk into a parish as the brand new pastor and suddenly be responsible for funerals with no experience, just classroom.
And we haven't had a lot of funerals. We've been kind of light on the funerals for here, but enough that you've already feel some comfortability with what to do.
I can see how, I guess the sequence goes. It's sort of a weird way of putting it, but nevertheless, I hadn't seen any funerals from a Lutheran perspective until I got here.
What did you notice about the Lutheran funeral sermons? Out of curiosity, anything?
Oh, yeah, I got to back up. I guess I did see one before I got here, but at any rate, they are very gospel oriented. They are very they rejoice, and the sermons do, and we don't eulogize. We don't spend time trying to say what was good about the person, because that's not the point of, well, it's not the point of eternity, is how maybe we did some good works on here or not, but that's not what eternity is about.
All right. Moving on. We missed something for our 200th episode,
Oh,
and that is we put together a little time capsule in our 100th episode of things that will happen before our 200th episode.
Oh.
With the idea we were going to play it for our 200th episode, and guess what we didn't do, amongst other things of their grand and grandiose ideas for our 200th episode, which we did not do. Okay?
yeah.
That we had a top 12 list of things that will happen before our 200th episode. So we gotta open up this time capsule and see how we did.
Well, hopefully one of them is we will mess up the 200th episode or something like that.
Here we go.
Oh, hey, I'll play the intro.
Enough nonsense. It's time for Bullhagen's Top 12.
So my top 12 list is we all like a good prophecy, right? Right?
Yes, we love.
Sorry, I might. Sorry about that. So what I thought I would do is, these are top 12 things that may happen, that I think will happen. Maybe not. But when we get to our 200th episode,
Okay.
these are things that may possibly happen by our 200 episode.
Okay, so
wait,
do we have a date for our 200th episode?
About 2 years, right?
Yeah, we started what? Beginning or like middle?
Middle of March, maybe?
I think it was end of February.
So, I mean, basically, we're looking at what?
Oh, yeah, it's 52
2 years
weeks.
minus
52
4.
weeks in a year.
So
Yeah.
20,
Towards the beginning.
23 months from now. Whatever that
Towards
is.
the beginning of 2023.
2023.
Nailed
Now,
it.
Before we start
Nice.
that,
Good
do you
prediction.
guys want to take like an over-under on how many episodes we get? Are we going to hit 200? Are we going to go over or under 200? Or are we going to stop before then, you think? Keeping in mind, we made it to 100.
We did make it to
And
100.
we haven't missed a single episode.
You're right. We have.
Yes, Peter.
So before we listen to the rest of this, I want to know, Bullhagen, did you think that we would hit 200 episodes?
I thought we could. It probably at the time would if you had asked me, I would say I would be nervous whether Berg could be with us for 200 episodes. You know, because he's busy, and he's still with the show. He's just going through. He's just really busy. We're gonna have him on again soon, but more permanently, yes, there's a plan. Anyways, but I was the only one that actually believed that we could do more than 10 episodes. So I do remember that. Like, no one thought that we would be in this long for sure. And this, like, our numbers this week, we're just as many listeners, if not more, than we've ever had. So not so much in Oklahoma.
Something every week.
I predict, my
Yes.
prophecy is that we will not make it to 200 only because of scheduling. I think we will hit a point where we are not able to get together for a couple weeks in a row, and then everybody just forgets about it.
I don't know. See, the thing is, I've got this creative outlet that I need every once in a while. Otherwise, I'll just be at home making bench press parables and driving my family crazy.
Yeah, I guess, like, because I honest, 2
Moment of
years
truth.
ago I would have agreed with you. I would have thought we would have gotten to like 3 to 6 months and that would have been done. But I don't know.
That's 100 episodes.
Bullhagen he's a beast.
I pushed because there's some of those where we didn't miss a week. I pushed through to do something.
You definitely have taken that for the weeks where we can't get together quick enough for me to get.
Unless Peter forgets to edit.
Yeah, there's that.
It was one time, just because it was last week.
Yes, we've gotten over that. All right, here we go.
Podcast edited because I've got work.
Whether it's a best of, I did the solo show one time where I was oddly angry at two beats behind me.
Where you run a diss track on me. Yeah. I still think that best of episode is the best editing that's happened on this podcast, I think. Besides, probably the only other contender is your Melba episode. I think you're probably the better editor here.
Huh? I wouldn't say that. I actually, if the listener has a chance to listen to that the Melba episode, I would encourage you to listen to that today.
Okay.
It is the one thing that was like, it was serious. I tried to do it more of a modern style, like productive podcast, and I think it turned out pretty well.
Okay.
So you'll have to listen to that.
I'll put it on my list.
All right. Because it took me a lot more time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, unless I think it'll keep going unless something happens where Peter can't do it anymore, or
Right.
Because as long as you have someone to riff off of, it'll continue. So
he just needs the brains.
Well, I need it to be a conversation,
a dialogue.
Right. So by our 200th episode, these things may or may not happen. I'm not going to say they're all going to happen for sure.
Okay, so is it more than 50% or less than 50%?
I would say half of these will probably happen.
Okay, so are we going to talk about
Better keep track.
which of these half are going to have a
Yes.
great? Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you can decide how likely these things are to happen. All right?
All right.
So maybe after each one, we give a percentage chance.
Yes.
By
And
committee.
you, the listener, can take votes on this. And where can they find us, Vicar?
Haven't we done that already?
Do it again.
They can rewind the podcast and listen to it earlier.
The listener at home may be having tequila or scotch as well.
We certainly are.
All right. So,
Number 12.
Hannah, we love you.
All right.
Number 12.
Something we said in episode 43 will become viral, and we will be Twitter banned.
What did we say in episode 43?
what is episode 43?
I don't know. It was kind of random.
Well, we say a lot of offensive things
Well, the thing is, I want
to the
peop-
world.
If you could cut this out, Peter, I want people to see if we get a bump in how many people listen to 43.
No, I'm keeping this in so I can tell you that there's probably something in 43, and then we're going to get canceled. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
All right, pause. We had no idea at this point that Elon Musk would have purchased Twitter.
Oh, good point.
See?
Yeah, no, you almost can't get banned.
All right.
Vicar, what is episode? We'll talk about it later.
We'll find it.
All right.
Hannah.
I'll have to find my login for Twitter, then and I'll make sure to put the hashtag in there.
Hashtag cancel
we'll
culture.
make it happen.
Number 11.
One of the wacko conspiracies that we've heard the last couple of months will be proven true.
That's a good
What?
one.
The China lab?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that one came true.
oh, I don't know. Yeah. Well, I think so far we're about 50-50.
You know, I actually have an apples to apples game that's called Conspiracy Theory, where somebody has the card and then you try to put either the best conspiracy with it or like the craziest, you know? So
what are some examples of ones that you think might become true?
Oh, I don't. See, the thing is, you can't say that because as soon as you do, you're going to say, oh, the election was a conspiracy. That's what you think. No, I'm not saying any of these are true. I just think there's going to be a revolution by episode 200 where we all go, oh, okay.
That's such a, that's like a psychic way of giving you a. Oh yes,
Yeah,
I'm
see,
getting. You have an
medium bullhagen here.
You have a. You see, there's somebody that's passed on that's close to you. My father? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
R-T-T, some begins with a T, right? Yeah. His name was Richard. Yeah, C-R-S-T. Mm-hmm.
I'm banking on Hollow Earth theory.
Number 10.
19.0 will be a strongman competitor.
Okay.
Is this as he shows up to Vicarage, or like by the time to episode 200 he is?
By episode 200.
He has been molded.
I better hurry.
Right. So when would you want to comment on that?
Well, I have gone to the gym 3 times a week for 6 months since I got here.
Is this the strongest you've ever been in your life, you think?
Oh yeah, I was
See? Half
pretty close.
half true?
It's close.
Half true?
That's amazing that you predicted such a thing, and maybe I will get into a competition. We'll see.
All right. Boy, no, which is not 8. We have 17, 18.
Currently, yeah.
That he's going to have a lot of pressure that he's going to have to be a...
19.0 would be a first year this year. I have the calendar in the office with the photo of the first year class. We could see who looks like they'd be strongman competitor worthy.
I would not have gotten selected under that process.
I like the thought of that.
We'll have to send a petition into Matt Harrison, president of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and
Who approves this podcast, by the
this
way?
podcast, and
I
make
wonder
sure we get a
if
strong
it's
man.
gotten back to him, if he ever regrets doing that.
Isn't
I'm
there,
sure there's so many
I
things.
regret it.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who regret a lot of things.
isn't there an actual Lutheran pastor who's a strongman competitor? Like
In Canada, we talked about him.
Yeah, he pulls jumbo jets.
Which is amazing.
It is.
We should have a bench off, he and I.
What, as in he bench presses you?
No.
You bench press him?
No, I mean, him and I, one machine. Put a weight on.
Dude,
More reps wins.
I think Reverend Santa Claus would destroy you.
You think so?
Oh my gosh.
And then we
That
have
guy-
a race, a running race.
See, well, you've
I-
got
you would probably win that.
See, the thing
Give
is,
him time
right,
to work up and have it be episode 200.
pre-COVID,
Right.
maybe it was close, right?
Yeah, I'm down 20
The
pounds.
post-COVID plus
I'm not the 245
245
I was.
Yeah, that
post-protein
took you out.
diet, no meat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
So set it up with the seminary, man.
Number 9.
17.0 will be explaining to his children why they have to wear snow boots in June.
Yep.
What's up?
95%.
Yeah, we're talking this is either extreme climate change or I'm worried about where that means I'm put.
Our shepherd of the glacier.
Because wouldn't that mean southern hemisphere?
It could.
mean,
Or it could be extreme north.
Northern Canada.
It could be. So I get partial credit, southern Iowa,
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't
southern
been here in
hemisphere
June
of
yet.
Iowa.
We're going to be wearing snow boots in June here.
No.
Okay,
No.
all right.
Or North Canada?
Well, there is an Orthodox church in Antarctica, so we could go and compete with them.
I don't have the facial hair for that.
Not yet.
You better you
got
better
2
get
years.
to
I've
it,
got
man.
I've got 200 episodes to get that.
That's
100
right.
episodes, yeah.
So you say
Not gonna
that's so far that's the more likely scenario.
I'm banking on it.
I won't have to explain to them why to wear snow boots.
Heck, no. This is you'll be sent to like the Nunavut province of Canada to what's that town's name? Aleut, which is has like 69 permanent residents.
Future version of me who's listening to this at home is now getting evil glares from my wife.
Where
Note. I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
permafrost environment all year round.
No, I was going to point out how this is why we need Berg on, because he is the master of picking out a town, how many residents there are, where it is in Canada. Only Berg does that. Where milk comes in bricks.
All because of that podcast that got canceled from episode 43.
Man,
Right?
Yeah, after episode 43, like
yeah.
it's all right.
That's the butterfly effect. There we go.
Number 8.
Bertonia will have taken over the northern half of the state of Iowa.
Was it
Finally.
Bertonia or Bertlandia?
I thought it was Bertlandia the last episode. He
Oh, okay.
corrected me. He laughed like I was an idiot. Bertlandia, what's that?
Yeah, that's the. That sounds made up. That's really dumb.
So for a while, we had 3 pastors on the podcast. Bert, Berg, and I.
Okay.
and he took a call to Minnesota. We need to have him back on sometime. Like a model world called Bertonia.
Well, I kind of want to see that.
And not only did he have a name, it had a history that was going, like storylines,
okay.
like this part is running out of food, and there might be a conflict going. And
And I take it this is a physical thing, not a computer thing. Okay.
yes,
Did it have a train in it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I've never took a trip there.
I hope
Peter,
so.
cut that out.
I hope he takes over. That'd be awesome.
Number 7.
Wyoming will be known as the Baldwin District. What? Okay.
Did he go there?
Yes.
You're talking about Patrick Baldwin?
Baldwin, he went there, and Berg's in Wyoming too.
He is. That's right.
Mm.
No, I think that's pretty low on the.
Is that?
Well, just because there are so many good guys in Wyoming. That is that thing still running? Okay, good. There are so many good guys in Wyoming. They're actually talking about starting up a classical Lutheran college there,
Really?
like in
Nice.
Casper. So, I mean, he might be a bright light, but he's among a lot of bright luminaries there.
Well, and here's
so.
the thing, right? 2 years is a really short time to start a conquest on an entire district, you know?
I know I've been here 7.5 years, and it's not known as the Berg district yet.
Need to start with a smaller district.
That's true.
Well, you'd have to overcome Bullhagen, though, before you could...
I thought we were going to be a team here and just swipe the board, but
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
Well, and
despite my best efforts,
there's also a Preuss in the area that
I've never met him.
You know, we did talk about having Clerical Errors be a podcast network, like the
We did.
Disney of Lutheran podcasts. So we're still looking to expand.
So if you are a pastor and you want to join the Errorverse, email us.
Reverse. That's pretty good.
I like that, the Errorverse. I like that. That's great.
The EPU.
Yes. See, we've got all these great ideas. We could be
See,
amazing.
and we're only 100. We think of all the unplowed territory we have.
It is unplowed. That's for sure.
All right, I'm feeling warm.
Number 6.
By episode 200, Peter and Hannah will have ditched us and signed a multi-million-dollar contract with iHeartRadio.
99%. I don't know how they can put up with our nonsense.
What number was that one?
Number 6.
Number 6B. Peter and Hannah demand payment for
Ooh.
Oh, no, that's happened so far.
Honestly, no. Yeah.
Well, Vicar has to because he's, you know.
I mean, you guys are all getting paid to do this, right?
No. which is
Well, but we do have a Patreon, so
which is what I like about it is the fact that way, because it's not part of our actual location, we can enjoy it.
Right.
yep.
For legal purposes and church purposes, I am the official owner of the Clerical Errors podcast. Me.
So if you leave,
I take the podcast with me with a new crew on iHeartRadio.
who would replace us?
Oh, please. Okay. Yeah, this would. Okay, who's going to replace us?
Well, I mean, by then, Todd Wilkin will have been canceled. So I'll bring him in.
Probably
Okay.
Matt Harrison will be probably retired.
Matt Harrison was going to be out of things to do. We'll pull him on. And then, for like the flavor,
Okay.
Dr. James Bullhagen, of course.
Of course. Yeah. I understand. Yeah, you got to have that kind of outside guy to,
Yeah, that way we can hear the same 3 jokes every episode. It'll be great.
Yes.
Love you, Papa.
All right. Number 5.
Number 5.
Zombies. Now here's the thing, okay? Tell me that the last year has not been the beginning of a zombie movie.
which kind of zombies?
Boom.
Okay.
That's huge.
Now you've lost me.
All right. So,
Yeah.
do you
The
think
ones that
Peter, which zombies?
Slow
are you
ones or fast
thinking
ones?
slow walking brains, or are you thinking like I Am Legend?
either I Am Legend or what is the one with Brad Pitt? It's something Z.
World War Z. Yeah.
World War Z.
Yeah, where they're all running and fast.
So
zombies.
fast zombies.
Yeah.
What's there's names for there's like the dude that came up with it.
Well, it's Romero Zombies.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, his like if you haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, you need to see it. It's great.
1968.
It's a wonderful. It's actually the first horror film, the first film that actually has a black hero
Lead.
in it.
Really?
Yeah, and he uses zombies in order to kind of socially critique society. So, but
so
you know,
it just seems like I don't know, with the virus and everything and lockdowns, that it is the beginning of a zombie movie.
Number 4.
Berg will find the news delightful.
I want to say that's pretty low.
pretty low, like maybe 5%.
Like unless it's like Paul Harvey comes back from the dead and starts up his show again, where they only played the good news.
Yeah.
You know, which tanked because people are masochists at heart. Like they want to hurt themselves with the news.
We should try and have a segment. News that Berg finds delightful.
Well, we need a better name than that. News that bothers Berg is a good name because it kind of rolls off the tongue.
Right.
What's
Vicar,
like
where
a-
can they let us know what a good name
Let's
for
not
this?
keep doing this.
Number 3.
The Clerical Errors tour will have been sold out.
We're selling tickets to
Okay.
a tour.
So what is the tour?
That's what we're. I don't know. That's just what came to me. I was.
Well, we still need to go up to Minnesota and do this live show at some point.
That was kind of where I wanted to go. You know.
Oh, our tour could be way cooler than that, though.
Well, obviously we'll have to get the tour bus, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't do without. It's not a tour if you don't have
A
a
tour bus with
Right.
like our faces on the side.
Finally.
with your faces and then the
The
podcast
logo? Yeah.
and then like in the corner my face, and then there's just a silhouette for Vicar.
Hand in the front seat.
You know,
telling
I
us
would love to
behave.
see like a top 12 statements that we've made over these last 100 episodes. Like best lines.
I did put some at the end of the last podcast.
Right. I haven't listened to it yet.
That sounds
so.
like a good list for the listeners to put together.
Right. Vicar.
I think a couple of my favorites are Berg saying "hot or tools." There's another one that didn't make it in the podcast, but I have on my computer a snippet of Volhagen saying, "Did I just witness a drug deal?" I have the voiceover guy saying, "And done." That's one of my favorites too.
He was actually in today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw him.
Did you tell him that we're doing our
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
he
I did.
excited?
Yeah. We should have. Before
Does
we
he
left.
actually listen?
I don't know.
I guess we'll know after this.
Hey, if he listens, where could he get a hold of us, Vicar? All right. Number 2.
Number 2.
The public will demand more sound effects.
I don't know. We're
I-
pretty chock full of sound effects the way we are.
I don't think
I mean,
that
Peter-
might just be a me thing. No one
That's-
likes sound effects like I do.
I don't like cheesy sound effects.
I do like the X-Files one.
I do, dude.
That one was pretty funny.
That is amazing.
The one especially where we were doing the top 12 with all the extra sound effects.
Right, with the mysteries, yeah.
And
that
you
was-
just happened to have the perfect line I could throw in there that you were like going into Volhagen's mind.
All right. You ready for number 1?
And number 1.
Clerical errors will be purchased by Disney only to be ruined.
That's pretty par for the course, I think.
Dodge that bullet.
What
so
I
far.
actually see happening is like all of the outlets where Clerical Errors is distributed will be purchased by Disney
Oh, yeah.
and then they will ruin that.
All right. On that note. So what do you think, Peter, of the list?
Think it was good. We got a few of them.
Yeah, zombies.
Which one was most spot on?
Definitely 19.0 being in a bodybuilding competition.
Or one of the conspiracy
That's the
theories. That's the one Vicar likes.
Well, I do like that one because the idea that the virus broke out of a lab was immediately like assaulted. Like you would kind of be in trouble if you had that theory that maybe the COVID had come out of a lab. And yet there in Wuhan, China, is the Wuhan coronavirus lab. I mean, that's what it says, even in English. It has Chinese characters on it, but in English, the words are right on that building. And it's not far-fetched at all that the virus came from that lab as an accident of some kind. Anyway, so I feel like it kind of came full circle to where you don't just get shot down online for saying that might have happened.
But the whole point of it that I was doing that you guys caught up on is
Right, you
the
didn't say.
conspiracy theory.
Right.
When there's
caught
like
on to
hundreds
one.
of them floating around.
Right. That's pretty good.
So,
Yeah. I like that one, though.
by the way, if you a word of explanation here, former vicar Bauman mentioned that he was compatible with 3.0. That's because
Yeah. What's that?
he's in the same circuit as a former vicar.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, he's real close to David Lingard, vicar number 3.
You know, it seems like to be on this show, your last name has to start with a B, and then you earn your name. Because you got Berg and Bullhagen and Bauman, and wasn't there a Bert or something you were talking about?
Bert.
Yeah. So I might be out of luck or have to change my name, one or the other.
And by the way, we have sent in our application for 20.0.
Ooh,
20.0.
that's amazing.
Whew.
Have you looked at the pictures to make sure it's a big buff
No.
guy?
No, I haven't. I was going to, but it was around dinner time, and
This wasn't quite the priority.
yeah, I listened to that and I think, man, I can't wait for have more episodes with Berg.
Yeah. No, he's good. He needs to be on here.
So we'll hopefully be less self-indulged next time. I do have a top 12 list about suffering that I will do next time. So thank you for listening. I'm Bullhagen,
This is Vicar
and may your zombies be...
Romero.
Thank you for joining us. This podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Questions, thoughts, concerns? You can contact us on Facebook at facebook.com/Clerical Errors Podcast, on Twitter at Clerical Errors P for podcast, or email us at feedback@clericalerrors.org. Thanks for listening to Clerical Errors. See you next time.